Earlier on this year, I went through a process where I was dealing with things that I had hidden in my soul for nobody to see, right? But I decided this year that it was time. When you feel in your spirit that this year, it's the year for you to deal with all unresolved issues, right? So I went through that process where, I found myself a life coach in my sister, and she took me through a process where I started dealing with the things that I had hidden in my soul. And after dealing with all of that, I remember looking at my wardrobe, guys, and it was such a mess. And it was like it was the first time I'm seeing that wardrobe. And I mean, I open it every day, but on that day, after going through weeks of dealing with my emotions, working through these deep rooted wounds, that I realized that, oh my gosh, that's such a mess. My wardrobe is such a mess. And on that day, I cleared out everything. I packed my stuff nicely. Until today, my wardrobe is clean, is neat. And I realized that, the things that we think we are stashing in our souls actually manifest themselves in different ways. So for me, it was a messy wardrobe that I never saw before. And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, my husband has been looking at this, thinking, what is she thinking? But he never asked me because he's that kind of a person, right? Maybe people have been asking you about whatever it is, the way your hidden stuff is manifesting. Maybe it is through alcohol. You're abusing alcohol. Maybe you're abusing drugs, right? And you're taking drugs. I don't think there's any abuse when taking drugs. That is just, a certain way of these things manifesting in your life. Maybe it is through sex, right? Multiple sex partners. There's so many ways that these things start manifesting in our lives if we are not careful to actually work through the stuff that we want to work through, right? So that's why I said, today let me talk to you about the deep-rooted wounds that we are not dealing with, that are denying us a peaceful life. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner voice magnified. Guys, the most important step in trying to develop a peaceful life is to understand yourself first. So many times when we are hurt, so many times when we've got deep-rooted wounds, and we try and deal with them, we want to deal with the outside world first, and then hope that once the outside world is sorted, then we will be okay on the inside, right? But if you've followed me long enough, you know that I so believe in the power of personal development, that you are the root cause of everything that happens in your life, or rather you are the foundation of everything that's going to happen in your life. If you don't understand yourself, then you will not understand your environment, and your environment will end up swallowing you, right? Your pain will swallow you because you expect the outside world to be perfect first before you can start working on yourself. But I tell you guys, I've seen it in my own life. The day I decided to start working in me, when I realized that, for years I've been fighting with the outside world, trying to fix everybody around me, trying to get people to treat me in a certain way, but I had failed. Then I realized on the day that, unless I do something about it, then nothing will happen. I will spend again another 5 years still crying about this specific thing that is hurting me. But I'm expecting my environment to change, right? So it is important for us to start with ourselves. when I'm in pain, the first thing that I ask myself is, what's causing me this pain? You know, accepting the fact that I'm in pain is the first step. Acknowledging my emotions, that is the first step, right? So it is important that we don't push ourselves aside and say, you know what, it is okay, people can do whatever, I'm so used to it. Acknowledge the emotions that you're going through. Acknowledge your pain. And acknowledging your pain means you are sitting down with yourself and you start asking yourself questions like, what is hurting me? What about this person's words or actions is really hurting me? Is it the words themselves, or what is it about them that is causing me so much pain, right? So your emotions are relevant. Your emotions are important. Your emotions are valid. Never underestimate, acknowledging those emotions. The more I talk about peace, I start feeling like, maybe you might be thinking when I say it is possible to have a peaceful life, no matter what is going on in your life, it means you are putting your head in the sand. That's not what I mean. In order to have peace, you need to understand sometimes we have certain defenses. Why do I have these defenses? Why do I always feel the need to protect myself? If somebody makes a comment about me, do I always have to respond to that comment? No matter who it is, no matter where we are. That means my defenses are high. Once we start acknowledging the emotions that we're going through, then we start seeing patterns in our behavior. Then once we develop these patterns, once we start realizing we've got patterns, then it is easy to start now trying to dig deeper into these patterns. Whether either you do it yourself, you dig deeper by asking yourself questions, by sitting down with yourself, or when you feel like you can't dig deeper, like, this year I felt like, I've been trying to work through this thing, but I just couldn't get myself to go deeper. So I sourced external help. I found somebody that I trusted, that I knew had my best interest at heart, and that would always tell me the truth. Either I can be somebody that you trust or a professional. When you start dealing with your emotions, then you realize even the kind of help that you need in order to go deeper into the emotions that you're going through. Remember, the external environment will never change unless you change. We attract how we feel on the inside. You can never lie to your environment. Your environment knows exactly how you feel about yourself. And again, how we feel about ourselves on the inside also contributes to the meaning that we place on what people do, on what people say, right, at any point in time. So the more we don't deal with the emotions, the more we ignore how we feel, or the more we feel guilty about feeling hurt. Sometimes the person that hurts you is somebody that is so close to you, and you feel guilty for wanting to feel angry towards this person, right? And because you feel guilty for feeling angry towards this close person, then you decide it's better to stash my emotions. It's better to ignore my emotions so that I can nurture this relationship that we have, right? But I'm saying, when you start saying it is okay for me to be hurt when I feel like I'm being attacked, that is the first point of developing a peaceful life. So guys, it is important to acknowledge yourself. It is important to know yourself, and it is important to want to protect your heart, right? To want to protect your soul, and never underestimate that. So when I talk about peace, I'm saying learn who you are first. Learn the experiences that you've gone through that are that have shaped you into the person that you are today. And whatever it is, or whoever it is that you are, if it's continuing in the head, then when you start acknowledging the pain and you work through the emotions, then you will be on your way to developing a peaceful life. So when you change, guys, your environment changes. When you make certain decisions about your life, when you get tired of the pain that you have experienced for decades, and you start saying, you know what, I've realized that I've always tried to change my environment and it's just not changing. I'm going to now work on myself. I'm going to work on my own healing. I promise you, your environment will respond to what you are giving it. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner peace and purpose coach. Your pain is valid. Your emotions are valid. But just because they are valid doesn't mean you can't take yourself out. The only way to take yourself out, though, is to know why you are the person that you are. Forget about your external environment. Forget about the people who are hurting you. Forget about the unfairness of your circumstances. Focus on trying to find healing for yourself. Then I tell you, when you start the process of healing, even your environment will respond positively. And the things that you've always wanted to see and experience from your environment, you will start experiencing. I love you guys. Please take care of yourself. Peace. Be still.